duck blur. Race cars, lasers, aeroplanes. It's a duck blur. Might solve the mystery or rewrite history. DuckTales. Ooh. Every day they're out there making DuckTales. Ooh. Tales of daring, do bad and good luck tales. Danger, watch behind you. There's a stranger out to find you. What to do? Just grab onto some DuckTales. Woo! Every day they're out there making DuckTales. Woo! Tales of daring, do bad and good luck tales. Woo! Not ponytails or cottontails, no DuckTales. Woo! We are the ones who don't know what we're fighting for. Give us a gun and send us all off to war. We are the ones who grow up in violent homes. We are the ones who don't know what's right or wrong. I know. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No more. We are the ones who don't know why we're losing score. Give them a badge so they can send us to the morgue. Yeah, we are the ones who are scared to walk out the door. We are the ones who don't know what we're dying for. I know. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck now. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No. Get off his fucking neck. Love that makes you know. He can't fucking breathe. Love that makes you know. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck now. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest episode of I'm No Joe, your home for all things combat sports and the place where every armchair quarterback can feel like Benny Bronco. The views and opinions presented on the I'm No Joe channel belong solely to the person expressing them, no one else. If we say it, that means we meant it. That being said, this show does contain adult themes, adult content, and general shit that you shouldn't be letting your kids intake. Be advised, viewer discretion is recommended. Proceed at your own risk. You've been warned. We're live from the mile-high city of Denver, Colorado, where the weatherman is telling local residents to brace themselves for a huge snowstorm. But tonight, the big storm on everyone's mind takes place indoors. 30 years ago, iconic words were spoken into a microphone that changed the landscape of MMA forever. Tonight, we're getting into that. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of appropriate ages, to an iconic episode of the I'm No Joe podcast, the show where every armchair quarterback can feel like Dana White. Welcome. We have got a big one in store for you folks tonight. We have made it. We survived. Dear God, hallelujah. Praise Jeebus, the spaghetti monster in the sky kept us safe. UFC 300 weekend is here, boys and girls. But before we get into all that, first and foremost, gentlemen, how the hell you doing this evening?
Doing fantastic. A much better card to talk about last week. I still stand by all of my previous statements that this is not the 300 we deserve, but is the 300 we get.
I'm doing pretty fucking good. Getting close to finishing my second grow. We're getting close to 420. And we finally get a good fucking week of fights. Almost every fight on this card is actually going to be fucking pretty damn good. There's a lot of killers fights on this card. I'm excited as hell. It's going to be a fun weekend.
Hell yes. Absolutely going to be a good weekend. So, as we like to do to kick things off around here, to start it out, we're going to get into the news and recent events, fight confirmations, fight fallouts, rumor confirmations, rumor allegations, all the fun fuckery that has shaken down the MMA pipeline since we saw you wonderful folks last. Starting out, unfortunate situation here. Bad infection apparently is in store. Mahmoud Muradov is officially out of his fight in 301 against Michel Pereira. But luckily for the fans down in Brazil, they have had that fight salvaged. Ihor Potieria stepped in today on, I believe it's 3.5 weeks notice before they kick off down there in Rio to step in and save the fight. So Pereira is still going to be on the fight card. We're still going to see his flashy nonsense down in Brazil. Maybe Potieria will make it more interesting, maybe not. We'll find out as we get a little closer to that fight. Over on the other side of things here, May 17th, can't catch a fucking break. Old Aspen Ladd is at it again. This time she's making headlines because she has not only gone from the UFC to the PFL, but now she has flunked out of the PFL, allegedly, I say with air quotes for those of you listening, and is now moving over to the Bellator side of things and will now be competing on the May 17th card in Paris, France against Ekaterina Shakalova at featherweight. She just keeps flunking out and keeps going higher up in weight classes. So hopefully Aspen can get her shit together, but this is not a good sign for damn sure. We will see how this one turns out in a couple of weeks. But if the past is any indication here, not a lot to get excited about in terms of that one either. We do have something to get excited about here. A couple of them. The first one, UFC 302 taking place June 1st in Newark, New Jersey. Got a very interesting fight added to it this week. Jailton Almeida versus the returning Alexander Romanov. That is a potential incredible fucking fight. Romanov apparently fully healed and ready to get back after it. So that's a pair of fucking steam trains heading to clash in. And I think that's going to be a fun one to see in Jersey. We got one that I know TJ is going to be very excited about here. June 7th, taking place over on the one card in Thailand. Cade Rutolo is officially making his transition from submission grappling into MMA. He takes on Blake Cooper for his first official MMA match. Not a bad matchup at all. I am very curious to see what happens when Cade can actually start throwing punches to mix up his fucking takedown attempts. We've seen what that kid can do when he gets you to the fucking ground. Now it's time to see what he can do when it's standing up and there's punches and elbows and kicks involved in it. So I'm very fucking curious. I think it's a good stylistic matchup. relatively fucking level on skill wise in terms of MMA. I think going to be a good fight to watch. I'm very interested in it.
How long till his brother switches over now too?
That's
Because the
I was
both of
just
them
gonna
are fucking
say,
animals.
if Cade comes over and walks through Blake Cooper like there is a genuine chance he might, I don't think it's going to be long before his brother's like, you know what? I'm going to give this MMA thing a try too. Let's see if we can't just take over fucking MMA like we did with submission grappling, because they
Fuck.
did.
And I'm here for it.
I love it. I love it. And they're doing it properly too. They're not rushing. They're not trying to run in. They don't want a fucking title shot immediately. They're literally just doing it the proper way. And that's what you love to see. So I'm fucking here for it. Absolutely. Interesting one over on the UFC side of things, coming up the day after Cade makes his debut. A pair of interesting fights have been announced here. The first one, nobody was really excited about it, but it's kind of inevitable at this point. It is kind of like the bantamweight version of John Jones versus Stipe Miocic, for lack of a better fucking comparison. It's not a fight anybody really wants, but it's one that they're determined to fucking make. Raul Rosas Jr. versus Ricky Tercios has officially been rebooked for a second time. This time the contracts were actually signed before it was announced, allegedly. June 8th, they're putting those two boys back in there, so that is going to be a thing. But the real interesting one going on to that card that I was very curious about when they announced it yesterday, also on that June 8th card, the return from injury of Miguel Baeza taking on Cunelo Soriano, moving down to welterweight for the first time. If you've ever seen Soriano fight, that gentleman did not have a lot of fucking room to cut weight to begin with, and now he's going to take a whole nother 15 pounds off that fucking frame. This is either going to be very interesting or very bad, but either way, I'm fucking here for it, because Baez is a very capable fucking opponent. So this is going to be an interesting test to see if Pugnelli actually makes his stand down at welterweight, where a lot of other middleweights we have seen move down and do good, or if he is one of the other ones where he's supposed to be at middleweight. He just needs to train more, and he's going to cut too much out of himself trying to get down to welterweight and just get TJ Dillashaw all over the place. So we'll find out. It's going to be an interesting one to see either way. That being said, last one I've got, it shouldn't really be a surprise to anyone who's been following MMA for any amount of time, but it's going to be to some of the newer fans, because I know that MMA does have a shelf life for a lot of fans. I think it's every 3 to 5 years they say there's a turnover of MMA fans, folks who either just get disenchanted with it or, find something else to take up their time, and then a new group comes in. So not every MMA fan has knowledge of, their favorite fighters or the big fighters in their careers and how they've gotten to where they are. If you're one of those newer fans, I understand how this might be a little shocking to you, but if you've been around the game, you've been watching fights for any significant amount of time, you probably anticipated this coming, and it did. We got confirmation this week that the Albuquerque Police Department have issued a summons, not an arrest like initial reports were. This is why I don't talk about things until they're confirmed. There was a summons issued, not an arrest, for John Jones on the grounds of assault and threatening a specialist from the USADA Replacement Drug Free International. I forget what her exact term is, a sample collection specialist or something of that vague corporate nature, but it was a female and a male who were sent to John's house to collect samples at 4:00 in the afternoon. I believe it was on a Tuesday, if I remember correctly. And when they showed up, John and his family were apparently having a birthday party for a friend, and John was apparently, according to the summons issued in the report file, John was hammered and was very hostile, was very violent with them. At one point, took the woman's phone, threatened the young man, and then in front of both the woman and the man said to one of his relatives, "The last time assholes came to my house like this trying to collect fucking samples, they ended up dead, so motherfuckers better learn." Or you would think motherfuckers, something of that nature. John Jones gonna John Jones. There we fucking go. John Jones gonna John Jones, as it were. So we will see what comes of this, because John subsequently released some of his own home security footage that shows it shows two. I can't say it shows the two. It shows two collection agents, a young lady and a young man, leaving John's house. Very cordially, the woman reaches over and gets a high five from John as they walk down the driveway, and nothing seems to be of any significance. The thing to note is that A, this isn't any confirmation that these are the two in question. B, there's no date on this fucking video. So this could be very well John just throwing up a smokescreen to try and get everything confused, to try and get something under the rug or get something settled here. But it doesn't look good. And if you've been following this any significant amount of time, John Jones has a history of threatening collection agents in the past. There are multiple documented instances where this has happened, specifically with John Jones in particular. So none of the allegations in this summons, not arrest, summons that were issued are really surprising to anyone who follows any of this. The only real surprising thing is how this didn't make more of a headline than it actually did, because it took 3 to 4 days before this was actually circulated in the journalistic circles at large. And even then, most of that was still talking about John Jones being arrested, which he never was, because they didn't follow up on the sources and actually get the story. So I'm not trying to defend John Jones. What I am trying to say is that it's much better, in my opinion, to get the whole fucking story if you're going to talk about it than it is to just rush for the headline and try and get those clicks. John being John, there's a good chance this is what we think it is, but all the facts deserve to be put out on the table, in my opinion.
I have a feeling we're never actually going to find this one out, which is fine. I'm past it because we already know what kind of fucker he is. But had the UFC booked correctly and put him and Tommy Aspinall as the main event at 300, he wouldn't be in this fucking situation this week because he would have been in fucking Vegas. But here we fucking are, because we're not getting the kind of shit we deserve for 300. Again, great card. They screwed the pooch here.
It's not the socks blown off that we were fucking promised, to say the very least.
Exactly. Because I'm saying Jones Aspinall would have been a socks blown off moment to see those two fuckers go at it.
I'm not gonna lie, I genuinely would have been able to endorse people paying $80 or $90 fucking dollars to watch this pay-per-view live had we gotten a fight like that on there. As it
You didn't even
now,
get a fucking good heavyweight fight on the card.
As it sits now, yes, the card is decent, and we will get into it more later on. But at this point, I'm still telling people, if you're going to watch it, look for Khabib's links. Wink, wink.
Look, just DM Khabib on one of his social media platforms, ask him where he watches it, and he will get you right where you need to be.
You'll be taken care of. Yeah, exactly.
He'll give you directions to where you need to go.
He will,
whether it be via car or other means of transportation.
That's right. But that being said, that is all the news I have got for this fucking crazy week. Either one of you gentlemen have anything that I might have missed?
I think it's worth mentioning just because it made me laugh. Anybody who watched the last question of the press conference today, why are we not getting a better main event at UFC St. Louis? I'm just saying that last question was dodged very well by Dana. I will give him that, but I think that could have been handled a little better, because God knows he's right. Derek Lewis don't want to fight 5 rounds.
I agree 100%. I will say, and we'll get into it a little more later, Dana Whited all over that press conference, but there were a few gems added to the top of 300 that we'll get into a little more once we actually talk about that card. Excuse me.
Other than that, I got nothing. Other than bonuses will be 300,000 at this, which thank God somebody has finally had the balls to step up and ask him directly.
Yeah, they pinned him in the fucking press conference. They asked about it. Now, to be fair, Mike Bonham, the guy that asked him about it and got that all set into place, definitely hid behind the fact that he kept saying, well, we talked to Max and Justin, and they both think, instead of just, having a set of fucking balls and being an actual journalist and saying, hey, Dana, why don't we? But
to his credit, though, he did talk to both of them.
Yep.
So he did do journalism there, because he did ask them about that in his interviews. If you go back and watch them, thus the reason Coleman done. We know he's handing out the fucking title for that, which is fucking awesome.
Yeah,
And
that's what
Fucking
I was
awesome.
about to say. I'm fucking excited as fuck that Dana. Well, Dana's word never means shit, but if they really fucking let Mark Coleman do that, he really is a bad motherfucker. In all
he
honesty,
can't go back on it
Yeah, I
now.
was gonna say at this
it'll be
point,
fantastic. It'll be a fantastic moment. Everything that he's been through in the past fucking month or so,
yeah,
for him to
Dana painted
fucking
himself in
not
the
just get,
corner.
like we talked about when we saw the news that they gave him tickets. You got to do more for him than just give him the fucking tickets to fucking go to 300. So
Yeah,
it's cool.
I mean, at this point, hopefully they see some writing on the wall here, and we get some of the greatest fights we've ever seen in our lives because they're all going for that fucking 300,000.
Yep.
Because
They
that's a
all
lot of
deserve
fucking
more.
money. That's probably more than some of those guys' purse.
That's more than most of their purses. Yeah, most of that card isn't going to make 300,000 for their fights. So, yeah,
Yeah,
it's a big
so
deal.
maybe that'll light the fire under their ass that they need to start paying those guys more, or just put out bigger bonuses so it forces guys to fight harder.
Encourages them to work.
Because I mean, everybody who fucking damn near everybody who answered a question said, "Yeah, I'm going to make 300K." Everybody across the fucking board. And you know what? That's good incentive. And I'm okay with it.
Well, and if you think about it, that was the original reason why they used to give out a fight of the night, a knockout of the night, and a submission of the night, because you knew just because you got in a good fight, there's, 11 other fights on the card up for fight of the night. You want to knock that motherfucker out, or you want to grab that arm and take it home with you, because that's how you guaranteed that bonus money back in the day. That tradition of giving it out that way has long since gone out the fucking window. So now you have to have a spectacular performance one way or another to still compete with the other spectacular performances. Now with this 300K stepped up, at least for this card, you know damn well everybody stepping in that cage Saturday night wants that fucking bonus. Everybody's trying to put them out.
If there's a boring fight on there, there's something absolutely fucking wrong with them, because there's no reason you should not be going balls to the walls for $300,000. Put me in there.
Agreed.
I will go fucking balls to the
Fucking
walls.
A.
I might not make it to the end of the fight, but I would go balls to the walls for 300 grand.
Hey, I'll show you what it really takes to get Alex Poatan to the fucking ground, because I will grab that motherfucker by the cup and push him backwards for 300K.
Grab, twist, and pull. Kick him in the dick.
The old dick twist. Oh my goodness. But that being said, that is the news and recent events for this particular week. So that will bring us into the next segment here. If you are an old head like some of us are, and you've been watching MMA for any significant amount of time, you start to develop a trend where you learn what you like to watch, when it comes on, and how to watch it. And you start to develop a set of blinders, as it were. You start to lose the forest for the trees. Luckily for us old heads here on the show, we have ourselves a bona fide young person who stays out there on the streets just ever so vigilantly fingering the MMA pulse, keeping us abreast of all the names that are going to be names before they actually are names, in a segment that we like to call Slows, Cans, and Contenders.
Appreciate you, brother. So, like always, start out with the cans. It was definitely easy to grab a few of them. Cody Brundage, I think the easiest fucking one. I think that's the one fight we can all guarantee isn't going to last very long. And the only thing that I like about the placement on it, other than I love Bo Nickel, right? And they are trying to push him a little bit. Mike Heck said it on his podcast earlier this week. Like, it makes a little sense that the UFC would put that one fight to start it off, guaranteeing you get a finish to kick off the fucking main card. Because if they did put the Rakic and Prohashka fight on there, then maybe we get 5 fights, all go the distance. To some people that aren't the hardcore fans like us, they bitch and moan, oh, there's no knockouts, there's no finishes, it's boring. Now, if they're all going to war, we know the fighters that are on this card, we're going to enjoy that shit. I want to see some fights go the distance, to see some wars this weekend. That Brundage fight is just the easiest one. Brundage isn't worth a damn, and he's fighting a guy like Bo Nickel. He's just going to get fucking absolutely smoked. I'll be surprised if it lasts 3 minutes. That's kind of how I look at that. Aljamain Sterling, I kind of look at him the same. You got to throw him in the can just because you got knocked out by Sean O'Malley. Now you're going to fight Calvin Kattar, a dude that's almost twice the size and got twice the knockout power. Just a natural born fucking fighter, tough as nails. He's always been back and forth in that featherweight division, but he's that get or get got kind of guy. Always goes out and throws the fuck down. If Sterling can't take him down, he's gonna get his ass beat, and I'm here for it. It's gonna be a fun motherfucking time. Andrade versus Rodriguez. I'm throwing the whole fight in the can. Andrade is a huge veteran in the UFC, right? This will be her 27th fight. You could say she deserves to go into the Hall of Fame towards the end of her career, but here as of late, she has not looked so good. And Marina Rodriguez, even in her good moments, even beating her decent opponents, has always been lackluster in her performances. Just a boring watch in general. I don't think this fight's going to be exciting. I sadly don't think the fights on the women's side of things are going to be exciting until we get to the championship fight at the end of the night. I'm not looking forward to the ladies' fights. Like, you could throw that Kayla Holly fight in the can as well. I'm more excited to see Kayla get her debut and see what she does with it, but that fight you could just easily throw in there. And I put Holly Holm in the can. Just solidly put Holly. She's 42 years old. I think she's on the back end. I do think she's going to fucking lose to Kayla. We'll see how it really goes, but you can throw that fight as a whole in the can, like I said. And Cody Garbrandt, I think his chin's fucking gone. Figgy's going to put him out this weekend, and it's just going to put a stop to this bullshit of the UFC still trying to push this guy and give him an opportunity to make some sort of a run at shit again. Instead of giving Figueiredo a top 10 opponent, they're trying to give Cody Garbrandt an opportunity to fucking make a run at it. It's ridiculous. That pisses me off. The can tender, I threw the fight in the can, but this week's can tender for me is Kayla Harris. This is the debut in the UFC. This is where you get the real fucking competition. She beat Aspen Ladd in her last fight. That's nothing that impressive. She hasn't fought anybody real throughout her entire career. So now it's real, even though Holly Holm's old as shit and on the back end. Like, if you can't beat an old end of the career Holly Holm, you're not worth a damn. Don't think it's that impressive even still, even if she goes out there and dominates, but she will be given a title shot, right? So she puts herself in contendership. If she wins, she loses, she's the can that a lot of people already think she is. So that's how I got that. Contenders. This is fun, man. There's a lot of them. It's Jim Miller. I'll start Jim fucking Miller. Gets himself back in the top 15 if he beats Bobby Green. There's no fucking doubt about it. Should get a ranked opponent after that. Let the guy get one more fucking run at it. He doesn't seem like he's wanting to stop anytime soon, even though he is as old as he is, and he's been in the UFC as long as he's 43rd fucking fight coming up this weekend. It's fucking insane. He still wants to keep going. You let him keep going. You go out there and beat a guy like Bobby Green, and if he fucking gets a finish against Bobby Green, throws him right back into contendership. Easily throw Diego Lopez in there. This will finally get him in the top 15. He beats Sadiq Yusuf. You got Bo Nickel, obviously. I feel like he should get somebody that puts him closer to the rankings, even though Cody Brundage isn't worth a damn. You continue to put the guy on the fucking main card in the pay-per-view. You obviously want to push him up, so quit fucking playing games. We know that he can beat most of the guys in the top 15 today. So you push Bo up. He's the obvious biggest contender, in my opinion. We all know he's going to fucking do some special things in his career, and we're all excited for it. You got Figgy. Deiveson Figueiredo, to me, a clear fucking contender in the bantamweight division. Like I said, he should have already been. He beat Rob Font in his debut. Should have been given a top 10 dude, not fucking Garbrandt. I'm pretty sure he's going to lay Garbrandt out. There you go. Job done. Give him a fucking true test to see, what we get out of him. Can he make a title run in this fucking weight class up, right? But I think he will. He's a true contender. Fucking got to fight as a whole, Erie versus Rakic. Now, I don't think Rakic is the contender on this, but I do think the fight could be really fun, really fucking exciting. But I think Erie's the true contender coming out of that. And obviously the other fight, Max versus Justin. This is a fight I think we're all the most excited for. Either guy should fucking get a title shot. Like, they're talking about Dustin getting it and shit, but whoever wins this should be the one to kind of call their shots. Like, Max wins this fight, he should be able to call a shot. Fight Ilya at fucking 145 or fight Islam at 155. Just pick your poison kind of shit. That's where Max should be at. Justin fucking wins against Max after beating Dustin. Obviously, what the fuck we giving Dustin the title for? It should be fucking Gaethje. I'd love to hear what you boys got. This is finally fucking one that we can be excited about. What do you guys got for your cans and contenders in this fucking UFC 300 card?
All right, Christian, much to your chagrin today, I actually have a couple here. And you've knocked most of them out, which is fucking great because this makes my life very easy. All of the women's fights, except for Weili Zhang and Yan Zhao. That's the only exception. The rest of them can go straight to the fucking dent bin in the supermarket because none of them are worth the fucking. None of them are worth the fucking. Let's say we break this card down by money wise. None of them are worth the fucking $80 fucking price of admission here. And that's $80 price of admission watching at home. Don't get me wrong. Those ones, you don't have to pay for because they're on the prelims and the early prelims. But still, I wouldn't pay $80 knowing that those two motherfuckers are on the card, period. They don't belong on this kind of a historic card. You do not belong coming in on your debut fight in the UFC on this kind of card. They're using Holly Holm as a reason to, oh, well, Holly Holm's a former champion, so we can put her in against a former champ, and that makes sense. Whoop did he fucking do, Basil? What does it all mean? It doesn't mean shit. Waste of fucking time. That entire fight, Holly Holm is old, beat up. We've seen it already. She's perennial. Lose one, win one, get a title shot. Lose one, win one, get a title shot. I don't want to see that anymore. I don't think Kayla Harrison is the world breaker that everybody thinks she is. She's just fought the dent bin of the dent bin in other organizations, and that's how it's played out. Jessica Andrade, back end of her career. Yes, future Hall of Famer, was a title holder at one point. Definitely, I can see her being in the Hall of Fame. 100%, I agree with you there. Marina Rodriguez, nothing to fucking write home about. How she's still in the top 10, I don't fucking know, but doesn't belong to be there. So that fight as a whole, both of them, cans. The whole fight, can them. I can't even give that one a can tender like you did. That's just the Kayla Harrison, Holly Holm, not even can tender just because Kayla's coming in. Don't give a shit. To be honest, the only thing that she's got better than Holly Holm is hair. Her hair looks better. That's it. Other than that, she can get fucked. Both of them. And not in the way they want to be. Now, as far as men on the card here, Cody Garbrandt. Like he said, chin is fucking gone. He talks a lot. Yes, he got 2 wins last year. Good for fucking him. But they were against nobodies. He is still trying to ride that high and get back to that making Dominic Cruz look stupid era. Look, when that happened, it was fucking fantastic. It was beautiful to watch. It was a beautiful performance. but he hasn't come back to that stature of fighter again. Yeah, we saw him get a lucky knockout and that thing here, but it's not worth it. I'm also gonna throw Aljamain Sterling in the fucking can because I still just don't fucking like the guy. Fuck him. I hope this move makes him realize that he's not as good as he thinks he is. Now, I'm also gonna throw Calvin Kattar in there as well. For this reason. Calvin Kattar said during the press conference today, and I'm not even looking at Aljamain Sterling. I'm looking at me. If you're not looking at your opponent, that's a fucking bad look, especially coming off of a 15-month layoff or 18-month or whatever the fuck it is. That's a long layoff to not be paying attention to your opponent, even if it is a fucking dented soup can like Aljamain Sterling. So this one, we will put this whole fight. I will call this, just because I do like Calvin Kattar a little bit, I will put this in my Schrodinger's contender fight. Only for Calvin Kattar, though. Fuck Aljo. Fuck Aljo 100%. The best thing to come out of his camp is Marab, and that's only so I can watch Marab go and take Brochacho's fucking lunch. Other than that, that fight doesn't mean shit to me. I'm glad it's not on the main card. I agree 100% on fucking Cody Brundage. Now, this next one is probably gonna throw some people off here. It's not that the fight isn't good, but I don't fucking like it, and I haven't liked it since the day they announced it. Justin Gaethje and Max Holloway. I think this is the stupidest fight on the fucking card. While I love both of them individually, Max shouldn't be coming up. He's not a big enough guy to do it. Yes, he's got the height, but build-wise, no. He's a skinny fucking Hawaiian. Gaethje's on a different level at that fucking weight class. I've said this since day one. I don't like this fight. I like the fight because of the fighters, but as a whole, the reason for the fight, no, I think it's fucking stupid. Am I happy that Coleman is going to come and wrap the belt around Gaethje's waist again? Yeah, because unfortunately, I love Max, but I don't think he's going to do it having to come up a weight class. Yeah, he doesn't have to cut weight, but that doesn't make a fucking difference. He's not big enough. He's going to be faster than Gaethje a little bit. But other than that, I still don't like the fight. The fight as a whole can't. Not because it's not a good fight, but because it's just a fucking bad matchup in the way that they did it. Put people who are actually in the same fucking weight category against each other for the BMF. You want to have a fucking fake title? Make fake titles for every division. That's all I have to say about that. Like I said, I love them both, but I just have not liked that fight since the day it was fucking announced. I thought it was retarded then. I still think it's retarded now. To be honest, I don't think it belongs on this card either. Both of them belong on the card, but not fighting each other. We'll just leave it at that. Now, as far as contenders, it's going to be weird because I'm going to go back to this last fight. Gaethje and Max Holloway. Both great fucking fighters. And I agree that either one of them should get a title shot should they fucking win this fight. Do I like the fight? No. But both of these guys are badass motherfuckers. That's the reason why they're doing the fight. Like I said, still don't fucking like it. But it's kind of, I can't call it a Schrodinger's contender because neither one of them are fucking cans. I'll just call it the Schrodinger's contender because we don't know which one is going to be the winner at this. I mean, I have a pretty good fucking idea, but I very well could be wrong because stranger shit's happen, and one of those guys has a fucking chin for days. Now, I'm also gonna add Charlie Olives to this list because, well, he's fucking Charlie Olives. And anybody who can pull off a banana-colored suit and look good doing it obviously gets my fucking nod of approval. The women's strawweight title bout. Fucking, as a whole, contender. I fucking love it. The first time two Chinese women have ever fought for a title against each other in the UFC, And if I'm not mistaken, I think it's the first time two Chinese women have fought each other in the UFC, which is even fucking better. The stakes are raised. Look, I don't vote for communism ever, nor will that ever change. But this is a big fucking win for China. And I'm happy for them in this. Only in this. Fuck the rest of that bullshit. Now, one that we had to put on here, I don't even think it has to go with being said, is Jim fucking Miller. Just as everyone else who addressed him, asking questions, calling him Jim fucking Miller. Hopefully that gets across the board and we see somebody do a 180 on saying, no, I won't introduce you like that. Also, another one into the contender. Can we give it up for goddamn fucking Diego Lopez? Diego Lopez, I think he is a bright star fucking rising. I like Sadiq Youssef, but Diego Lopez has the star power. There's something about that emo looking fucker that has star power to him. So I have to put him in the contenders. And I'm not saying Sadiq because he is not, but Diego Lopez has that fucking weird it factor for a guy who doesn't speak fucking much English. And there's not many of those out there. So that's the other one. And well, I mean, to be honest, both of the title fights are fucking good. They're not the oh my god title fights, but they're great. So it's hard to fucking pick a non-contender on this card other than like, well, Cody Brundage obvious fucking can. There's a reason why they're letting Bo Nickel trample his ass in the first fucking round. Because they don't want Bo Nickel to actually have to go 3 rounds with anybody. That's what I got.
So I've got a couple across the board here. I try to keep it fairly short because we are going to break down the card a little more here in just a little bit. For my contender here, it's kind of flying under the radar a little bit. It's more getting name recognition than it is getting fight recognition, and that's Jim fucking Miller versus Bobby Green. This fight isn't just a big deal because of the names involved. Jim Miller didn't just accidentally make it to UFC 100, UFC 200, and now to UFC 300. It's not a coincidence that Jim fucking Miller is on this card. It's not a coincidence that Bobby Green is the man that stepped up with so little fucking time to make that happen. There are very few people who are willing to stand up knowing what Jim Miller is coming to do and still stare that fucking shotgun barrel in the face and be ready for it. Bobby Green's one of the few who put his nuts on the fucking table and said, you know what, let's do it. So my hat gets tipped to Bobby fucking Green because Jim fucking Miller is here to make history. And Bobby Green is willing to step up and throw his fucking cards on the table and try and stop that from happening. Props to fucking both men in that one.
In 10 years in the motherfucking making, we're finally getting the fight.
Right?
Fourth time's a charm.
All right, that's what I was going to say. It took them a while, obviously, but you know what? It fucking works, and I'm fucking here for it. Now, on the other side of that, I do have a whole fight as a can here. And there are very few that I can say on this card that I would say could be completely fucking thrown out. And this one is probably going to catch people off guard because it's not the one you might think it is. Sadiq Youssef versus Diego Lopes. I love this fucking fight. I absolutely fucking love it. But this fight has no business in the middle of the UFC 300 prelims. This fight, in my opinion, deserves to main event the Apex. These two boys have both put in more than enough time and more than enough work behind the scenes and in front of the scenes to deserve their own shot to shine, in my opinion. And being mixed into the middle of the prelims of such a huge fucking card like this, it feels like it's just getting lost. So I don't call it a can fight because of the fight. I call it a can fight because it doesn't work in this setting. Give them their own chance to fucking shine. I think they would do great as a fucking main event. That being said, I do have a Schrodinger's contender for this card. And it's one that, in my opinion, is kind of getting overlooked, for lack of a better terms. It's Money Moicano. Because as much as I love Renato Moicano, and I absolutely, listen to me very carefully, folks, I love the fucking heel turn that he has made. I love Renato Wants Money. I love the podcast. I love his breakdowns. I fucking love everything about what Renato Moicano is doing right now to make himself seen and heard, except the fighting part of it. Because as awesome as Renato is on a mic and as awesome as he is to see in front of a camera, he is one of those guys and always has been that you have no fucking idea which version of him is going to show up until the bell rings to start the fucking fight. Because the walkouts always look good. The weigh-ins always look good. The microphone opportunities like press day always look and sound good. But there is a 50-50 coin flip chance when that cage door closes and that bell goes off, that Renato Moicano stayed in the fucking locker room, and the guy we get in the cage is going to be timid, and it's going to be a boring fucking fight. I can't be certain of which Renato is going to show up, but there's a chance this could be a spectacular fight or a highlight reel for Jalen Turner. I don't have enough confidence either way. He's my contender for this week.
I like it. I hope it's the spectacular end, though, because I would love to hear that motherfucker get that goddamn mic and fucking just go crazy.
300 G's, baby!
Man, that'll be a fucking fantastic way to continue to build us up towards that main card.
Yes, sir.
Oh, man. Good shit, boys.
Thank you very much, sir. Much appreciated. Gotta unmute yourself. There we go. That'll bring us to the point in the show where on most podcasts, you'd be seeing some bullshit mid-roll fucking sponsorship ad for a company that has nothing to do with the show and something that no one on the show actually uses. And we don't fuck around like that here on the I'm No Joe podcast. If you want to help out what we get up to around here, I'm No Joe has its own Patreon, patreon.com/I'm No Joe. For as little as $1 a month, you get your name on the end of every broadcast on this channel as a thank you to let everyone know how fucking awesome you are helping us do what we do, as well as unrestricted access to behind the scenes, unaired, and literally unairable fuckery that we've got from here on the channel. Things were literally too hot for OnlyFans. I'm not kidding. They kicked us off because of this shit, but Patreon is home for grown folks. So you can give us as little as $1 a month to help us do what we do and get to see all the fuckery that's too hot for the general public. And helps us do what we do, and we appreciate that. So that being said, this will bring us into the only segment on the show that actually requires its own disclaimer. So if you will, Tapology.com does not in any way, shape, or form support, sponsor, or endorse the I'm No Joe podcast yet. That being said, Tapology.com does give you the option to go onto their site, create a free account, and make fantasy-style MMA picks. They even let you make groups on there. So we did. We made one called I'm No Bookie. It's all one word, or group 965, however you need to search it. The group is open to the public. You are encouraged and welcome to make yourself an account, join the group, and let us know who the fuck you are, so we will hold your picks accountable like we do with our picks in a thing we call Tapology with TJ.
Welcome to the last breakdown of this fucking wonderful run that we've had here for quarter one. And we're going to break down first last week's fight and the fuckery that took place over there, because, man, it could definitely cause a bit of ruckus in the Grand Prix. Let me tell you what. So, last week we had the main event that nobody asked for in Allen versus Curtis 2. Granted, it wasn't the worst main event in the world, but it definitely wasn't the best. With all that being said, let's get right into it. There was a tight race for the number one spot this week. Squeaking it out with 8 out of 12 not the meter himself, coming in there with 590 points over a very close second in Donna with 550, who looked like she may possibly have fucking ran with it there. But no. Came up fucking short.
I managed with that score this week to get 199th out of 5,860 people who participated on Tapology this week. I was top 200 out of almost 6,000 fucking people, and I'm pretty goddamn proud of that.
It's a hell of a fucking week. Oh, coming in fighting for the bottom spots here was myself and Don. We had a fucking rough week, both below 500 at 5 correct apiece. The only difference was I had one semi-perfect where Don did not. So Don gets the fucking trip over your dick award this week. Fucking stomped it out. I wasn't much better. I stomped on it once, pulled it back in my pants, and decided we're not doing that this week. No. Everybody else, 500 or above, except for us two. So we got to pull our shit together. And with some of the fights that are going on this week, there could be some interesting outcomes. So it's going to be a fun one to call. We might see a lot of fuckery in the last fucking event of the year. Now, with all that being stated for this last week here, let's take a look here at what our actual standings are for our first quarter Grand Prix that we've got going on right now. Like I said, with the way shit played out, the fucking standings got all sorts of fuckeried. Donna sitting in that number one spot, barely. Only ahead, less than 150 points. Right behind her is the meter. Right behind the meter for less than 150 points again, well, actually less than a fucking 100, is Christian. Myself right behind Christian, again, less than a fucking 100 points. Don behind me, a little over 150. And unfortunately, we talked about it previously. Vindog the Booty Hog he's going to get the first quarter trip over your dick award for the Grand Prix. There's no way that he can make the comeback to fucking, well, no. Let me rephrase that. Don could really fuck shit up this week. And fucking Vinny could have a great fucking week and beat him because he's only like 400 behind. So there is a chance that Don could really screw the pooch during the 300 card this week and fucking, make that big upset. But that's going to take a lot of screwing of the pooch this week. That's all I'm saying. So, it's still pretty much an open run because even Donna can screw the pooch and any of us can still take it. The only one who I think is pretty far out of the running is fucking Christian, because he would have to go perfect and everyone else would have to get zeros for him to win. But hey, there is that 0.1% opportunity, kind of like making the playoffs in football. 7 teams got to lose and you got to win your last game. That's it. Christian, you're got to let Vinny know he is still alive, but it's a far outside chance since he's not here with us tonight. So
I was going to say, to be fair, in the fantasy football league that Christian ran this year, I literally lost every single fucking game with the exception of the last game of the season that I won by 3 fucking points. So it is still possible for Vinny to pull that out of his ass and Don to trip completely over his dick and headbutt it into the concrete and then they switch places. It's thin, but there is still a chance. So hope is there.
So you're telling me there's a chance. Now, with all that being said, again, if you haven't joined us, come join us over on Tapology. It is free to create an account. You can join I'm No Bookie. If you can't remember, I'm No Bookie, group 965. It's literally 3 fucking numbers. If you have to, back this up 5 seconds and listen to that again. But let us know who you are once you've joined. And then immediately look for another invite for the Q2 Grand Prix that's going to be happening 2 weeks from now. Because we get a week off. But then we'll be starting that next Grand Prix that following week, and that'll run until whenever. So keep an eye out for it. Now, let's talk about some interesting things. Some odds. As much as I am like I said, I like the fights that are on this card. It is not the 300 spectacular event that we should have gotten, I think, but it is the one we have, so it's the one we're gonna go with. With that being said, the odds on here are pretty crazy as far as like a lot of them are coin flips, a fucking ton. And because it is 300, I'm gonna hit you with every fucking one of them. And I'm just gonna do them in fucking. Actually, I will do the coin flip ones first, and then we'll cover everything else. So coin flips. They've got Super Sadiq and Diego Lopez. Diego Lopez coming in as a minus 145 favorite over a plus 120 in Super Sadiq. Next one on the docket here that I'm going to call a coin flip, even though it's kind of a little bit wider. Calvin Kattar, Aljamain Sterling. Plus 145 for Calvin Kattar, a minus 175 for Aljo. Alexander Rakic and Yuri Prochazka. Legitimate coin flip, a minus 115 to Rakic, a minus 105 to Yuri. Next one that's not quite wide enough for me to call anything other than a coin flip. Charlie Olives and Arman Sarukian. Here's where shit gets weird. They have Arman Sarukian coming in as a minus 200 favorite over a Charlie Olives at a plus 165 underdog. Like I said, pretty close to a fucking coin flip, but to know that they actually have Arman as the favorite in this is a little crazy to me. Charlie Olives, every time he's an underdog, he fucks people up a lot of times. That's all I'm saying. Another coin flip, which, to be honest, I find this kind of crazy to be a coin flip. Max Holloway and Justin Gaethje. A plus 135 in Max Holloway, a minus 165 in Justin Gaethje. Not overly really crazy. Your main event, Alex Pereira and Jamal Hill. Coin flip. We got Jamal Hill as a plus 110 underdog and a minus 130 favorite at Alex Pereira. Makes sense. I get it. Next one on here that I'm going to talk about, Bobby Green, Jim Miller. Coin flipping it. And we got Bobby Green coming in as a minus 185 favorite over a plus 150 in Jim Miller. I can understand that, striker, grappler thing. That they tend to do that a lot when it comes to those types of odds. Next one on there, Jessica Andrade and Mariana Rodriguez. They've got Andrade coming in as a minus 140, Rodriguez a plus 115. Now, for those of you who are into money, we're going to talk about this next fight. Pretty close to a coin flip. I can't call it wide enough to call it some weird wide odds fight. Renato Money Moicano and Jalen Tarantula Turner. Right here, they've got Moicano coming in as a plus 195 underdog over a minus 250 in Jalen Turner. Kind of close to a coin flip. I get that fight. It makes sense to a point there. Let's cover some of these ones that are a little bit wider here. First one is the opening fight of the entirety of UFC 300 and Cody Garbrandt and Davidson Figueiredo. To nobody's surprise, they've got Figueiredo as a minus 300 favorite and Garbrandt as a plus 240 underdog. Not surprising. To be honest, I think the odds on that should be a bit wider, but I'm not a bookie. Again, that's, I'm no Joe. I'm no bookie. Fucking, it makes sense. Next one on here. The fight that nobody asked for, that nobody really wanted to be on this card. Holly Holm and Kayla Harrison. They've got the old and aging Holly Holm as a plus 333 underdog and a minus 450 favorite in Kayla Harrison. Seems like pretty fucking wide odds for your inaugural UFC debut. For some odd reason, I just see a left high kick coming up and knocking Harrison out here because of that. It's just fucking weird. Co-main event of the evening has some pretty wide odds here. Yan Xiaonan, Weili Zhang. They've got the current champ as a minus 550 favorite over Yan Xiaonan in a plus 380 underdog. Not super wide odds, but pretty fucking wide odds for a goddamn title fight. And don't get me wrong, I don't think those numbers are quite correct either, because, well, both of those girls are going to fucking throw it on trying to get that title. Either keep or get that title. The last one to talk about is the widest odds on the card. And that is going to be Bo Nickel, and Cody Brundage. We're going to start with Cody Brundage. They have him coming in as a plus 1,100 underdog. And Bo Nickel coming in as a minus 2,500 favorite. It makes sense. If anybody has watched Cody Brundage's career through the UFC, he's just somebody they toss out there to feed to the fucking wolves. And that's what's about to happen. Those are the odds that we've got this week for this historic 300. And I say historic lightly because I don't think it's as great as it could have been, but it is historic in the fact that it is the 300th pay-per-view that the UFC has put on. So all that being said, make your bets wisely. Feel free to throw money around this one because there are some bets that can be made to this. Not a card that I would advise making parlays on, though, because there's some shit that can definitely go sideways on this card. So there's not any real lock-ins here. I mean, other than like Bo Nickel. But, strange shit happens. It is MMA. Everybody has a puncher's chance. But we'll see you after 300 in 2 weeks to talk about how all of this broke down. And remember, any of the odds you heard from me, they're all pulled from BetMGM. I'm not pulling from any other source. So if you look at the UFC's webpage, they may vary a little bit based on whoever they're using, whether it's DraftKings or Caesars or fucking FanDuel. I don't fucking know. But yeah, let's talk about some fucking fights.
Thank you very much, sir. Much appreciated. So, with this card, there is no shortage of fights to talk about. So, before we get into the UFC 300, I do want to give everybody a combat sports menu for the weekend. It's a very light menu. It's probably the lightest one we have had since I started giving you guys the combat sports menu for the weekend, but there is more than just the UFC to look forward to this weekend. So if you can't watch the UFC or you don't want to watch the UFC for whatever reason, I get it. It's not the only game in town. You do still have options. Only one though. That other option is tomorrow night, kicking off at 5:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, 6:30 Eastern Time. PFL number 2, their second event of their 2024 season, kicks off tomorrow night, headlined by none other than ex-UFC veteran Impa Kasanganay, kicking off his run for another $1 million over there. There are plenty of names that even the casuals will know over on that PFL card tomorrow evening, not to mention their seasons are essentially 2 fights long. So you are watching literally half of the season for these fighters competing tomorrow evening. So if you don't want just Saturday, you've also got PFL tomorrow. That being said, kicking off at 5 p.m. Central Standard Saturday evening, 6 p.m. Eastern, the iconic, the historic UFC 300. And much like Cody Garbrandt will be kicking off that card. We're going to start it by this joint getting smoked. So, gentlemen, history in the making here. Plenty of fights to talk about up and down the card. So I'm curious. Optics mean everything. This isn't the card that we were told we were going to get, but like you said, it is the card that we've got. So I'm curious, in your opinion, of all these ridiculous cards we have on this, or excuse me, all the ridiculous fights we have on this card, who has the most to lose Saturday night?
That's fucking easy. In my opinion, it's Davidson Figueiredo. If you lose to Cody Garbrandt, you're dropping a ton and a ton of fucking just a ton of street cred there. As far as like your fights, the next one on my list would be Bo Nickel. Bo Nickel loses, that fucking ship has sailed, and you're taking the long way to the top if you fuck this up.
Yeah, this could be Bo's Ricky Tercios moment, or his Raul Rosas Jr. moment. If he Kamehamehas instead of actually fighting, we could see him taking the long road and working extra hard to get his mom that minivan.
So, in my opinion, I think the guy that's got the most to lose is Aljo. Because if he doesn't win this fight, he's done. His career's over. He can't go back to 135. Merab's about to get the title shot. He's not going to get a title shot against O'Malley, and you're not going to step in the way of your buddy. So what the fuck is there for him? You get beat by Calvin Kattar at 145, you fucked. There's nothing there. There's just nothing there. The dude's career is over. He's got the most to lose, in my opinion, this weekend because he is the one. I think Figueiredo could bounce back. People still like him. We all still like him, right? Everybody else would still be able to fight. This dude literally couldn't fucking fight again in the UFC if he loses to Calvin Kattar this week.
Wait a minute. So, with what you just said, this just popped in my head, and I like where your head's at on this. Aljo loses, he becomes the new Kevin Lee. We could ask, where does Aljo fit into all of this?
He does. He does.
That's fucking great. God, I hope he gets his ass kicked.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. With a loss, he does become the feather / bantamweight Kevin Lee for sure.
That's why it was
the same
an easy
shitty dreadlocks
10 to have for my segment this week. Like, because Sterling, I don't think he's fucking got a chance in hell of winning. He's got to go back to what he did against Peter Yan. He's got to get the takedown. He's got to be the human backpack. That's the only way he gets a win. He can't get that fucking fight to the ground. He's getting his ass beat.
I thought you meant he had to hope to get kneed in the fucking head.
Oh, yeah, that too. But this isn't a title fight, so that'll just go to no contest, right? You know?
True.
They might give you a DQ fucking win, but I honestly think they would just do that nowadays. Can't fucking continue. Okay, we'll just send it to no contest. Fuck you.
No, I absolutely agree. If Aljo loses Saturday night, he has nowhere to go because Calvin Kattar is about as low as they're going to let the bar go for him at 45, and he has no options at 35. If he tries to go back to 35, there's nowhere for him to go, literally. So I agree. My pick for the most to lose this weekend is actually in a very similar vein as yours. I think it's Jessica Andrade, because almost the exact same list of reasons you just ran down sub out different names. She's been to the top multiple times now in multiple different divisions, at least in title shots in multiple different divisions now, and she's not getting any younger. She's down to beating, quote unquote, the number 6 girl if she can get it done this weekend. She's in the middle of a historic card, hoping to break back into the top 5. And if she doesn't, what's left? She's already fought almost everyone in all of the available divisions for her, and none of them deserve rematches that we absolutely have to see. If she can't pull this out this weekend and do it in spectacular fashion, on top of that, I don't think there's much left for her in the UFC, just logistics wise. She's done everything there is to do at this point, and none of it needs redoing. This isn't something we need to start seeing her lap back through divisions on. If she can't stomp this one out and make it definitive, I think we're done with Andrade. So I agree 100% with the Aljo, and I think Andrade is on the chopping block right behind him for the exact same fucking reasons.
Does that make her the female version of Kevin Lee then?
I think it would be applicable because she's moved around just as much weight-wise and tried just as much dumb shit outside of the octagon. So
Why not?
I think she could be the lady Kevin Lee for sure.
Maybe we could call her Kathy Lee.
I mean, we don't know how much she likes wine, but it could fit.
Saying maybe Karen Lee.
Right.
Karen with a K. Just want to make sure that's very clear.
Absolutely. Don't want no proprietary shit. So that being said, with all these all the fights on this card, I will say the UFC has outdone themselves on this one. Somebody from the UFC actually checked the stat. 13% of every UFC past or current champion, 13% of everyone who have ever touched or fought for a belt in the UFC is on Saturday's card. They're not fucking around. This isn't a bunch of cans. This isn't a hangover card that we can play, and these are, contractual obligations. Every fight on this card does mean something. Maybe not all of them belong on this card, but every fight on this card means something. So with the opposite side of the previous coin here, with a big win, who gains the most? Who comes out of Saturday riding the most wave with a big win?
God, I hate to say this. I really fucking hate to say this because I'm gonna need to go brush my teeth immediately after this. I have to say it's fucking Kayla Harrison, unfortunately. Because if you beat the perennial fucking title challenger in Holly Holm, that immediately skyrockets you in that division. They're gonna stick a rocket booster up her ass, force her down our throats like we're some altar boy at a fucking Catholic church outing. And to be honest, I'm not here for that. But it is a possibility because if she comes out and she throws all them bows, we'll see. But I just feel like that's unfortunately she is one of those fucking people. The other one, I think, Jim fucking Miller. Because look, he's won 5 of his last 6 fights. He's only lost 1, and that went to a fucking decision. His last 2 fights he won were both finishes. He wins this against Bobby Green. That puts him back in that category of we need to start talking about Jim possibly making a run at the fucking title. Or hear me out here. He goes out, wins, finishes Bobby Green, takes the gloves off, lays them down. I did 100, 200, 300, and won at all of them. Either way, I think he comes out a huge winner if he wins that fight. But unfortunately, I think Kayla Harrison gets that trump card of coming in as an inaugural fucking fighter. And, well, the UFC loves Holly Holm. So,
And for me, I feel like Hanato has a lot to gain just because of how that dude fucking talks on the microphone. But I'm gonna kind of go that route of TJ, given a fight that nobody wants to see go this way, but the guy will gain a hell of a lot more than any of us would want him to if he wins, right? Cody Garbrandt goes out there and somehow clips Figueiredo. We all know the UFC's giving his ass shot. They might skip him over Marab. Like straight out, I would not be surprised at all if Cody goes out there and knocks out Figueiredo this weekend. They're going to be like, "Oh, yeah, guess what, Marab? Well, yeah, I know we promised you, but you're going to have to wait again because Cody's the ex-champ, so we're fucking going to give him O'Malley, give him one last fucking shot." So, in all honesty, I feel like the same situation with Kayla Harrison. Cody Garbrandt goes out there and gets himself a fucking spectacular win. The UFC's giving his ass one more shot at it. We all know it. That's why they gave him Figueiredo in the first fucking place.
So much as I don't like it, I do agree that if Kayla wins, they're gonna launch her into fucking orbit. She will be in a face-off. Like, I would not be surprised if they don't have Raquel Pennington sitting front row during that fight specifically, so they can do a Cormier Brock Lesnar afterwards and set that up immediately in the cage after that fight. I agree. I don't like it, but I agree there is that. But the other one that nobody wants to talk about, if he somehow pulls the horseshoe sideways out of his asshole and manages not just a victory, but a big, devastating, quick victory Saturday night, Cody Brundage has turned the UFC's apple cart completely up fucking side down. Because at this point, They are so confident that Bo Nickel is going to be their next big star that they actually milked an extra episode of Dana White's Contender Series out of him, knowing damn well he beat the shit out of the guy they gave him in less than a fucking round the first time they brought him out. There was no doubt in anyone's mind he was beyond fucking ready for this. And they made him do it again because they knew that people are going to tune in to watch Bo Nickel, because if he does what he's capable of doing, there are very few who will be able to stand in his way no matter how much they want to. And if somehow, some fucking way, Cody Brundage comes in, ducks a fucking sloppy hook from Bo that he likes to throw, and counters clean and just hits the button and shuts Bo off in 37 fucking seconds and turns around and puts his fucking arms up, what do you do with him next? Because you have no choice but to give him the Bo Nickel hype. He derailed your next superstar on historic UFC 300. If Cody Brundage comes out there and does work, there's no limit to how high he can fail.
I fully agree with you, but I fucking hate this. You and me have both put it out in the ether. We might just get cursed by the Codys this weekend.
At least one of them has a puncher's chance for a reason. The other one is because the universe can be cruel sometimes. One of them genuinely has a puncher's chance. But Brundage has a chance because sometimes the MMA gods are cruel assholes and they like to take the threaded dildo and give it to you when you're least expecting it instead of the smooth one. So we'll see how it plays out. But man, fingers and toes fucking crossed. Those two don't go fucking sideways. That being said, it's not quote unquote technically, I say for those who are listening, air quotes, 3, but for everyone paying attention, this is a 3 title card. So I'm curious for you gentlemen, the BMF belt, the ladies strawweight belt, the men's light heavyweight belt. Which one of them means the least on Sunday morning?
I'm gonna say it, and I've been saying it since the beginning. That BMF fucking belt fight. I did not like the idea of them putting this on 300 from the start. So I think they could have gave both of those two guys better fights that mean more to both their divisions and to the individual fighters themselves. Max has already held the fucking title, and he held it for a long fucking time. That thing is a goddamn paperweight. It's a fucking overglorified paperweight that should have only been brought out once. But no, let's bring it back for stupid fucking fights that we think people want to see. And the only people that really want to see this are the fucking uneducated cocksuckers who, when I think about this, I go, why are you watching MMA if this is what you think is the right fight to fucking make? There's nowhere where Max said, yeah, I'm planning on going up a weight class. Gaethje is where he belongs at lightweight. And he's an absolute fucking killer. Have you seen what he's done to guys for $50,000 bonuses? I know what's going to happen to Max. And I hate to fucking see it because, unfortunately, Max isn't going to have the power at this fucking... He's never been a power striker anyways. He's a piece to fuck up and hit you. Yeah, he knocked out the Korean Zombie when they decided to just swing for the goddamn fences. But he's never been a power puncher. He's always been I'm going to lay the most possible damage on you that I possibly can over the given amount of time that I have, whether it's 15 or 25 fucking minutes. If you go down in there, great. But most of the time, they don't always go down. But he beats them so badly that they should have just went down because it would have saved them a lot less fucking headache. Unfortunately, that fucking title means nothing to me. It has meant nothing to me since the first time they put it into the even. Once they went, oh, we're going to let fucking you two assholes go at it and see who the baddest motherfucker is. No, you want to know who those baddest motherfuckers are? Let those fuckers fight in the street. Those two are fucking street fighters. Both Diaz and Masvidal. Let them fight it out in the street. Then we can give out a BMF title. Other than that, this thing has been nothing more than a goddamn paperweight the entire time. So it doesn't mean shit across the board. Still mad about this fight. I love both of these fighters. I want to make that very clear. I love watching Gaethje fight. I love fucking Max Holloway. Getting to watch him in Kansas City was probably one of the greatest fucking things I've ever had the pleasure of doing in my life live. But this fight just doesn't make sense. And like I said, the title itself is nothing more than a glorified paperweight. There's a reason why it's not gold.
Yeah, I kind of have to agree. But if Max winds up winning this fucking fight, I feel like come Sunday morning it'll mean something instead of just nothing. Because Max beating Gaethje would probably be the craziest thing on this card, in my opinion. And then him getting that moniker, the baddest motherfucker, everything else he's already done in his career, and then getting that opportunity to just kind of pick and choose what he wants to do. Fight Topuria or fucking fight Islam, and like, then it means something, but not really. The title doesn't mean much of shit. I also kind of look at the main event, the light heavyweight matchup, still not meaning much of shit, just with how that division's been for years and still is going to be. It's rough. You got Ankalaev in the mix of that, and Prohashka's the best bet. He's got to have a good appearance this weekend to fucking like make things more exciting towards the top. Jan Blachowicz is still up there. Yeah, there's just a lot of muddy bullshit in the light heavyweight division. So, but yeah, BMF belt doesn't mean much of shit.
I can agree with you on that light heavyweight title too. The only way that makes sense to me is if Jamal Hill wins, Yuri wins, and we finally get to find out where you at. Though.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I agree. The only reason the light heavyweight isn't my pick is mainly because 4 fights before they fight, we've got Yuri and Rakic fighting, and the winner of that fight is essentially set up for the winner of this title fight for all intents and purposes. So that one is, I agree, on the lower side of things, but I think we're unanimous here. I think the BMF belt is the least valuable come Sunday morning, but I think my reasoning is a little different than you guys's. I don't think it's going to be because of the value of the belt itself. I think it's because there are very few things in the UFC that you can reliably bank on. Bruce Buffer having a ridiculous outfit. Ring card girls, whether you need them or not. Dana White lying in a press conference. The other thing that fits in that category that you can reliably bank on with the UFC, at least up until this point, is that the BMF belt is a curse for the real belt. There has yet to be a person who has won that BMF belt who has been able to unify it. Every time it's been tried, it's gone poorly, to say the least. I don't want to see either one of these gentlemen put in the work that would be required to come out the winner Saturday night and then have to live out that curse, because both of these gentlemen are on the back nine of their career. I love Max and I love Justin, but neither one of them have another decade in this game. I will be impressed if we see either one of them still fighting in 5 years from now, realistically. I don't want to see either one of those gentlemen get their potential last shot at a belt cursed by winning the participation trophy belt. That being said, with this crazy card, I just have one last question for you gentlemen here. We've talked about the biggest stakes. We've talked about the biggest losers. We've talked about the potential for the most fuck up. Last question for the evening. What is the one fight on this card that you are genuinely excited for and why? I know there's one fight at least for each of us on this card that's got us ready to fucking lock in and pay attention. So I'm curious what your fight is.
I'm gonna have a two-piece answer here. And by that I mean it's two separate fights, one for the fight itself and one for something else. So I'm gonna start with something else first. That's Bobby Green and Jim Miller. I'm excited because it's Jim Miller and Bobby Green. I don't give a shit that this took 10 years of fucking making. That honestly doesn't mean dick to me. What will mean something to me about this fight is if Bruce Buffer actually gets out there and says Jim fucking Miller. At 300, all I can do is just please, MMA gods, please just let him do it one fucking time. He doesn't need to do it any other time he fights, just this one fucking time. I'm going to be so locked in at that fucking point. I'm not going to hear gunshots, explosions, anything. Because I'm going to be listening for that. And look, I'm not going to lie, because that's so early in the fight card, coming in and it's the second fight of the evening, that may dictate how I feel about the rest of the fucking card. Because I really, really want to fucking hear him just yell Jim fucking Miller into the microphone with authority and fucking gusto, maybe a 360, you know. So I want something out of that. Come on, the dude's fought at 100, 200. He's at 300 now. That's the least you can fucking do is a Jim fucking Miller. Look, let the dude go out on a high horse. Get Jim fucking Miller, win, lay the gloves down, say, you know what? I've had a fantastic fucking career. Sure, I could make a title run because I'd be in the top 15, but he doesn't have to. He just needs Jim fucking Miller. Then he can go back to cooking wild game and fucking entertaining us on fucking Instagram. I'm perfectly fucking all right with that. But it's got to be Jim fucking Miller. That's the one I'm fucking, that one I'm just excited. Just for the fucking intro. That's it. Not that the fight isn't interesting.
I got to throw this out there real quick. If you've been following the show for any amount of time, you know my track record with Instagram, but I'm going to put myself out there. I've been talking about this with a friend of mine. Tomorrow, after the weigh-ins are over, I'm going to send Bruce Buffer a message on Instagram, and I'm going to tell him, because these fights during the prelims are going to be aired on ABC, there is a potential chance that the only punishment he would receive for saying Jim fucking Miller into a microphone would be a fine. I am personally willing to set up the GoFundMe that I guarantee will be fan funded to take care of any fine the FAC could, or the FFA, whoever the fuck they are, could put out for Bruce Buffer saying fucking on ABC. I will personally set that fucking GoFundMe up, and I guarantee it gets paid off. It will not cost him a thing but a little slap on the wrist from Dana afterwards. Just saying.
I don't even think Dana would slap him on the wrist. He'd probably give him a slap on the ass, say, good game, see you in the shower. All right, fuck, I bet you Jim Miller would fucking pay that goddamn fine for him. Without a shadow of a doubt. We wouldn't even have to set up a GoFundMe. He'd already be taking fucking $100 bills and going like this, like he's a goddamn stripper after the fight is over. Now, on to a fight that I'm actually excited to see. There's kind of a pick 'em because there's a lot of fights on here that's really great. But it's just they're just not that, there's not the oh my god wow factor to any of the fights for me. But one that I will definitely be locked into is going to be probably, I don't fucking know. It's probably gonna be the goddamn Yuri Prochazka Alexander Rakic fight. Because right now, that's the only movement that can possibly come in the light heavyweight division. It's been fucking stagnant. And Rakic coming off of what, an 18-month layoff or something like that? We'll see where he is, or if he's just part of that stagnant fucking pool. and is Yuri got his shit back together because he obviously did not have it in his last fight. But that's gonna say a lot about a really stagnant light heavyweight division, and then to know the light heavyweight title is on the line later, that's gonna be a fight well worth looking into. And also, uh, just as my honorable mention, Charlie Olives and Armin Sarukian, just because I really think the odds makers have it wrong and given Armin Sarukian such favorable odds. Not that they're close to coin flip, but they're looking way down on the former champ there. I'm just saying, Charlie Olives is fucking number one ranked for a reason. You can't fucking come in and just blow a fucking Armin Sarukian way up. Don't get me wrong, he's been doing great stuff coming out of Armenia, but you know, Charlie Olives is still Charlie fucking Olives. That one's my honorable mention.
I kind of agree with TJ on both of those fronts. Jim Miller, I'm excited as fuck for, obviously. I'm excited as fuck for a lot of these fights. Charlie Olives versus Sarukian, just to see how Sarukian does against them. Both of them are so well rounded, fucking good shit. But I'm really excited to see what Hill does against Alex Pereira. It's not what we deserved for the main event, but it still intrigues me beyond belief because we really don't know what this kid can fully do still. We saw what he fucking did against Glover Teixeira last year. And if he can go out and do something like that against Pereira, I'm going to be one happy motherfucker at the end of the night. All the 12 fights before that we're fucking getting, and then we actually end the night with Hill going out there having a dog fight with Pereira, potentially getting that belt back. Just like fucking TJ said earlier, Yuri fucking gets the win, then it actually sets up something exciting in that motherfucking division in the future. I am excited for that one. Know everything before it's going to be pretty fucking good, so I'm going to be excited if we get a hell of a finish.
Yeah, I definitely agree with all the above raised points. I'm definitely interested to see how Yuri versus Rakic plays out. I'm curious to see if Rakic's knee is actually properly fucking healed as somebody who's still dealing with fucking knee injuries. I know how fucking long they can go. I'm curious to see how he's gonna play out if Yuri is actually back from that weird fucking flash knockout in the fucking Poetan fight. Charlie Olives versus Armin essentially sets up the next number one contender fight because technically speaking, Dustin's still in the conversation. The winner of Justin versus Max getting injected into that conversation. It's going to lead to another number one contender fight either way once they make the next 55 title shot. But the one that I'm the most curious about is probably for the least popular reason. The one fight that I am genuinely paying the most attention to on this whole fucking card for two reasons is the main card opener. Cody Brundage versus Bo Nickel for two reasons. One, regardless of what happened, good, bad, or otherwise, on the prelims and the early prelims, this fight can single-handedly make or break the tone for the rest of the main card. That's very important. And I don't think that even as much as they generally tend to fuck up, Mick Maynard and Sean Shelby took this situation lightly. I think they put this fight here because they see the same potential that a lot of us see. But the second reason that I'm genuinely 100% curious and tuned in for this fucking fight is because as much of a flag waving, shirt rocking, screaming at the top of my lungs Bo Nickel fan as I am, I'm also a realist. And even though Bo has gotten to where he is, earning his way there, it has not been against the genuinely anticipated level of competition that it should have been. He walked through some cans to get here, and it's not to hold that against him. Everybody does that, especially when the UFC sees that fucking dollar sign hanging above your head. We know that it wasn't all under his control. But at the same time, even in getting through the cans that he did, we saw 757 size holes in Bo's game. We know where his strengths are, and we know that those strengths are iron fucking clad. But we also know that we are in an era of combat sports where you cannot any longer be a one-trick pony, regardless of what that one trick is or how good of a pony you are at it. So if Bo realistically has been coasting on his highlights, resting on his laurels to this point, thinking that he's going to be able to continue doing what he has done to this point, doing what he is doing, there's a genuine chance that the Cody curse might come true Saturday night. And I don't want to fucking see that. But if that happens, I don't want to hear about it from some fucking loudmouth casual on Instagram talking shit. I want to be able to have seen that with my own two fucking eyes and say definitively when someone asks me Sunday, what the fuck happened to Bo? He didn't take it seriously enough and he got too comfortable. And I hope that that doesn't fucking happen. I don't want to see that happen, but there's a realistic chance that it might. And if it does, I'm not going to let some loudmouth dipshit on the internet grill me for it. I want to be able to adequately say myself, you are correct. Bo had all the hype in the world and he shit the bed. Or you didn't watch the fight because Bo knocked that motherfucker's mustache off. Either way, I will say, credit to Cody Brundage, he dressed very nicely for his funeral today.
It's a way to throw a nice rose on the casket.
Right? He wore a very nice suit to his funeral today.
He was dressed well.
Yes, he was.
Although, all right, if we're going to talk that though, best dressed in my fucking opinion has to be old Hanata Money Moicano. His fucking suit was on point.
That you could hear his suit through the fucking television with the sound on mute. Him and old Charlie Olives in that banana yellow fucking three-piece was just, that's dangerous. You're lucky those boys are fucking spoken for because they'd be hurting ladies' feelings in Vegas this weekend.
And I'm an honorable mention, trying to look like a fucking male stripper, Bobby Green.
I will say the hood backstage was a nice touch though. The wearing the bling and then telling everybody I look like I'm about to rob you, that was an ironic touch. It's something that only Bobby Green can do.
Yeah.
No, there are fights top to bottom this weekend for everyone and anyone to be able to get excited about. And if somehow you missed them, you can always tune into the I'm No Joe YouTube channel over at youtube.com/I'm No Joe. There's a tab now because they've separated out videos on the channels. There is a tab for where we go live. There is also a tab for shorts. We don't do review shows anymore. When there's a big finish, we do an immediate short, so it's there for you to see right away. If you missed the fights this weekend, you can always come back, check over on the YouTube short side. You will see reactions for any big finishes. That being said, seeing as how the video version goes up and the audio version goes up a week later, #fuck you Spotify. If you are listening to this and you did not catch it live, that means you have already had a week taken off of your timeline. That means you now have 1 week left from the time that you are hearing this, assuming you hear it when it first comes out. April 27th, we will be coming back to kick off the return of the show after the break and the I'm No Joe Summer Grand Prix. If you think you can pick fights better than we can, put your fucking money where your mouth is. Metaphorically, it's free. Get on Tapology, make an account, group 965. I'm No Bookie. However you need to find it, join it. It is open to the public. We encourage you to come. If you think you're better than us, show us. Put your picks directly against ours. Let us know who you are, and we can get you an invite into that Summer Grand Prix. We will see who is the best. We've got a week coming off now. I hope everyone has a safe and productive, responsible 420. I know we will be tearing it the fuck up around here, but that is all that we have got for this particular episode. When it wraps up around here, though, that's not the end of the fun, because tomorrow morning and pretty much every Friday morning, he's over there. That guy down there and his other half put on their podcast, the Slow Bacon Contemplate podcast, over there on Spreaker.com. Links for their podcast, as well as their social media and their very own channel over on the I'm No Joe Discord server, are all down below as always. Go check those boys out and tell them how awesome they are.
Appreciate you, brother. And the brother needed a week off this week, but the fun normally never fucking stops. Just like Meter said, pretty much every fucking Wednesday night. You can always fucking tune into the Foggy Fairway on the Brother Golf T Vape's YouTube channel around the same time we do this fucking show, about 9:30 fucking Central Time. You into vapes? You ever want to learn some fucking tips, tricks, some recipes? You just want to chill, have a good time? You make sure you show the brother some love. All the links to all of his socials and shit should be down in the description as well.
Thanks, sir. Now, being as we are taking a long break this week, you should know that by this point, if you tuned in for more than one podcast, the meter does do more than one thing. So to fill up that time, you can go down to the link below. There's a couple of them. Linktree/I'm No Joe. Linktree/the meter does many things. And go to all of the many things that the meter does do, and that should fill you in with enough time if you go back and watch all kinds of things to tide you over until we come back on for the card on the 27th. So, a couple weeks out, you got plenty of time. Go check it out. There's plenty of things for you to go find out what exactly the meter does do.
Thank you very much, sir. Much appreciated. That being said, if you like what we get up to around here, we go live pretty much every Thursday that there are fights to talk about, 9:30-ish Central Standard Time over on youtube.com/I'm No Joe. If you do not or cannot see it live, you can also catch the audio version on your podcast consumption platform of choice over on anchor.fm/I'm No Joe until Spotify changes that fucking link. That being said, if you like what we get up to around here, patreon.com/I'm No Joe is the best way to help out. For as little as $1 a month, you get your name on the end of every broadcast and you help us do what we do. You don't got $1, no problem. We do all of this for free. All we ask is if you enjoy it, bare minimum, tell a friend, share a show, help us grow the damn thing. That's all we ask. The flip side of that coin, make sure if you like what we get up to around here, you've got your notifications turned on and you are subscribed. Please give us that thumbs up. We appreciate it. If not, though, if you don't like what we get up to around here, first and foremost, what the fuck are you still doing this deep into a podcast you didn't enjoy? Feel free to give us a thumbs down and then go fuck yourself. We won't even dispute it. That said, that's everything we've got for this particular episode. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in along with us. I hope everyone has a good UFC 300 weekend and a safe and responsible 420 weekend next weekend. We will see you back in 2 weeks. So until then, remember, everyone, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything. Unless it's Activision. Fuck you guys. Me and the avocado just want to shoot bitches on Call of Duty. Let us play.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening. How do I say goodbye to what we had? The good times.